gaming and tech this week. We have Elon getting sued by, of all things, Blade Runner. Netflix is closing their gaming studio, and the Nintendo beta, whatever the hell it is, has leaked, kind of. We're going to talk about that. Welcome, nerds, to this week's edition of the Gaming and Tech News, generally speaking. Now, I'm no Linus or Spawnwave or Gamers Nexus or insert channel that is dedicated to the tech and gaming news here. That's not what you're getting here. This is just enough to keep you informed, generally speaking. We do this just about every week as part of a larger news show called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel. You can find that linked down in the description or at the end of this video. Now let's talk about some gaming and tech and maybe even some like photo, video kind of news as well. We do have some follow-ups and corrections for the gaming and tech this week. First up, we have Netflix, the gaming side of Netflix that we talked about, and then we talked about again, and now we're talking about them apparently for the last time, because the AAA gaming studio that they were putting together that was actively working on approximately 90 different titles to some degree is being shuttered. We had Joseph Staten, who came from Halo 343 Industries at the time, also worked, I believe, with Bungie on the tail end of the Bungie side of Halo. And we also have Rafael Grassetti, who was one of the art director for the God of War franchise, were previously working for the Netflix gaming studio. They are no longer working. They have not made any comment on the demise of the Netflix gaming studio, but the Netflix gaming studio is dead. And I mean, honestly, I feel like we all saw this one coming, right? Because while it's cool that they had such a novel approach to gaming in that they wanted to do something unique with the streaming abilities of their platform that already exists, the technology just is not there to make that a reality at this point, to make that a feasible, like playable, regular kind of reality for the average gamer. So kinda saw this one coming, but still props to him for giving it a shot, I guess. We have one other follow-up for a game that we've talked about previously. I think we actually even talked about when this project got started, got rolling. Phasmophobia is the game, and the news here, the follow-up here, is that we will be seeing Phasmophobia on consoles, as it is currently only on PC, but we'll see it on the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation VR 2, as well as the Xbox Series consoles on October 29th. So if you have not been able to play this multiplayer horror game, and you really want to, you've watched the Let's Plays and you know what it's all about, then your day is coming, assuming you have something in the current generation as far as Xbox and PlayStation are concerned. They're probably not going to port it to the Switch, just for a plethora of reasons, not the least of which being the Switch is very underpowered. So yeah, Phasmophobia coming to consoles, go check it out. There's also a link to the announcement trailer down in the video description. We didn't put it in trailers because the biggest thing here is that it's coming to consoles. The trailer's kind of secondary, so that's what we got for follow-ups and corrections. There are no proper trailers for this section this week, so let's just jump into regular-ass news. First up is kind of a fun one, and technically not normal news that we cover here on the channel, but it just was too much fun to pass up considering the holiday season that we are in. Halo 2 is what we're talking about, the OG Halo 2. The mod community that is running Project Cartographer is doing a spooky event for Halloween. So Project Cartographer is a mod that you can download for your PC. I think there's a way to run it on your Xbox 360 so that you can play your Halo 2 that way, or your OG Halo. I'm not 100% sure. I know most people who play on Project Cartographer play with ROMs, so you can do ROM on your currently existing PC hardware, assuming you have something that's powerful enough to run Halo 2, which odds are you do if you have a computer that can play games at all. So Project Cartographer is a mod that has re-established the original trophies and all of the original server abilities, not the original servers, obviously, because those are owned by Microsoft, but like the abilities that you have through the server. There is a link down in the description if you want to download it for yourself and join in the community of Halo 2. The really cool part about this Halloween event that they're doing is that it changes the skin, changes the Molinar armor to a skeleton, like through top to bottom, through and out, just you're playing as skeletons. You can turn it off, you can toggle it on and off, but I just think that's entirely too cool to not talk about. So go check out Project Cartographer if you are a Halo player. Next up on Regular S News is the big piece for this week's Regular S News, and that is Elon Musk versus Blade Runner. Blade Runner 2049 to be very specific. So the production studio that put out Blade Runner, Alcon Entertainment, has accused Elon Musk of copyright infringement and have therefore filed suit in court based on imagery that he used in the Robotaxi announcement last week. A Robotaxi, Cybercab, that thing. Earlier this month, I guess it was 2 weeks ago. Earlier this month. So the image that Elon used was something that was generated in an AI program, and the image that they're saying it is copyright infringement on is not the same. So it's really like, yeah, there's similar color tones, but you don't own colors. You don't own the concept of cyberpunk, which is what they both fall under. So where is the copyright infringement? This is so weird. This is more, I honestly feel like this is just more people posturing to show the world just how woke they are and how anti-Elon they are, even though I would venture at least a dozen people that were involved with the making of the Blade Runner 2049 movie drive Teslas. So like it's just the incredible hypocrisy and the incredible just pushing the narrative that the fans of their things are so stupid as to not be able to see the differences. Because the image that Elon made, according to the suit also, Elon approached, or someone associated with Elon approached Alcon Entertainment and said, hey, we would like to use some images from your Blade Runner movie in order to promote our event. And when they said no, the response was that they just created the images in an AI image creator anyway, likely Grok. So we've had this conversation a couple of times. At this point, I have yet to hear a valid argument as to how it's different for a computer that sees all of this other art, how that is different from a person who then can draw something that is inspired by all of this other art and has a lot of things in common with all of this other art, but is not all of this other art. Like even in court at this point, there has not been a valid enough argument to make any of these lawsuits stick that are trying to sue Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and XYZ image generators for copyright infringement. It just hasn't happened yet. So if this sticks, which I really don't think it will, because this is one of the weakest arguments that I've seen so far in this space, but if this sticks, it will be pretty monumental, and then we'll just kind of have to go from there. But that's what we got for that one. Let's move right along before I just start talking myself in circles again. We're not going to get away from Elon though, because we have another issue with Tesla this time. It is another Elon company. This issue has to do with the Ford converters for the Tesla adapters. So we talked, I guess, a couple months ago at this point about the fact that the Tesla charging cable is going to be the universal charging cable for electronic vehicles. So everyone is adapting. I think the goal was to have everyone adapted by 2026, if I remember correctly. So everyone is going to be adapting the Tesla charging port, I guess is the more appropriate word. For whatever reasons, I don't know, it's behind the scenes, I'm not an engineer, I couldn't tell you pluses and minuses and whatnot and what have you, but having seen the converter from the Ford plug to the Tesla plug, it kind of makes sense. The Tesla plug looks like it has more connection, therefore has better power flow. and the Ford one is rather small by comparison, so just a very interesting juxtaposition. But this isn't necessarily, so all right, I'm burying the lead here. What the issue here is Ford gave out free converters because, again, Tesla is becoming the universal charger. Ford gave out free converters for people who had the older Ford Charger to plug into Tesla. Now they're telling people to not use the converter that has already been given to them. So if you're driving a Ford electronic vehicle, do not use your Tesla converter. They are sending out replacements. And the reason they're sending out replacements is they have found an issue that is going to negatively affect the battery life of your Ford vehicle in the long run. It's going to change how long it takes for your car to charge and how long your car will hold said charge. Don't know, again, I'm not an engineer. I don't know all of the ins and outs of how that works. Just that's the reason why they're saying not to use them. There's a lot of clickbait headlines out there saying Ford warns customers not to use Tesla adapter, and that's very much misleading. Ford screwed up their adapters and now they're sending out new ones that aren't going to have this issue. So again, if you have a Ford electronic vehicle with a Tesla adapter that you got direct from Ford whenever they sent out those converters, stop using it until you get your new one. If you don't get a new one in the mail, then contact your dealer so you can get a new one. They are a free replacement. Don't be fooled by people trying to sell you things. That is what we got on that one. Let's move into our next piece, which is the Nintendo beta. So we didn't talk about this previously, so there's a little bit of ground to cover here, but Nintendo opened, but previously we're starting a list for people who wanted to be a part of a new beta test. And this is I didn't put it down in the notes because, again, I take freaking amazing notes. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a great note taker. But it's the playtest. It's Nintendo playtest beta. I believe that is the vocabulary that they use to sell this, or to advertise this to people. But basically what it is, it's a new game that is in development. And if you're on the beta, then you know better than most, but stuff from the beta has started leaking. A lot of stuff from the beta has started leaking, even to the detriment of people who are leaking it at this point, because Nintendo is very litigious. But it seems that this is not just a systems beta test. This is a legitimate game of sorts. From the sounds of things, it's some sort of weird combination of Second Life, if you remember back that far, and Starfield. So you are effectively creating a world with all of the other players involved. You get a little square plot of this world to do with as you will and as you can, and then there are other plots put there by the developers where you can go earn different kinds of credits in order to get different kinds of things for your plot, and then you can explore the world. And when you come across other player-owned plots, there are ways to lock them down so nobody else can move your things on your plot, and you can't move other people's things on their plots, and so on and so forth. So really interesting. It's almost like Nintendo's using their unique way of interpreting the world and creating an MMO. Like there's no other way to really look at this. It's really an interesting situation. As more develops, we will be keeping tabs. As it stands right now, though, that's all we got. So let's wrap up the news section, the regular S news, and let's get into our suggestion for the week. Suggestion, it's gaming and tech, man, and Halloween for Mortal Kombat 1 is absolutely eating up all my time. So that's our recommendation. So the reason I kept it this week as Mortal Kombat 1 is because I feel like modern fighting games, there's this weird thing where everything you have to pay for. Additional characters, additional skins for those characters, all this additional content just costs you more money. At this point, honestly, even if I hadn't bought the collector's edition of the original launch title, I still would be approximately 2 games worth of purchases deep at this point, because original game, expansion, and then the story expansion, like that's a lot of money, right? So it stands to reason that most players feel like at this point they would be owed something. They shouldn't have to pay for everything as far as new content is concerned, especially if it's just cosmetics. Like, these don't really cost you anything technically. Why are you charging me for them? And I understand why they do it, but I feel like Mortal Kombat kind of does it the best at this point, because there are certain skins that there's no other way to get them other than to give them real world money, and that's just the way it is. But there are a bunch of skins that you get for free or for some various, minor game investment. So, and honestly, they've even made that even better, because now you can once a week earn in-game currency that before this point in time you had to pay real world money for. So you can earn it in-game now, so you really technically don't have to give them any more money, except for if you want the expansions that are beyond where we're at right now. Really, that's just a long way of saying there are a lot of skins involved with the Halloween situation in Mortal Kombat 1. A lot of unique skins that they're not just palette swaps of other skins. But even so, like previous premium skins, technically they've given us a free palette version of those premium skins. Basically all of those premium skins, minus the classic ninjas and the Earthrealm Outworlders. There's a couple of exceptions here, but by and large, premium skins, you have some variation of those premium skins available to you at some point in the game. So I really feel like they're doing it right, and Halloween is a good time to earn some very unique skins in Mortal Kombat, and that's why it's our suggestion for gaming this week. It's a long way of doing it. Let's get to the next section. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.